Hey, 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 hey.
Have you ever pondered what may occur if you ordered a straightforward dinner delivery and ended up with something more than a tasty meal? Picture the scene. After a long day, a delivery driver named David gets on his motorcycle and gets ready to deliver what appears to be a routine order. Little does he know that this night will lead him to a horrific destiny where the food he delivers not only satisfies hunger, but also connects with souls in limbo who are waiting for their last supper. Here's the tale. Today I present a story in which the delivery service becomes a voyage into the unknown, a journey that transcends the city's streets and explores the paranormal. David had always been a proficient delivery man. He was familiar with every shortcut, every dark alley, and every part of the city. He chose to take the challenge that evening after getting an odd order to an address he recognized but knew didn't exist. Evelyn was listed as the name on the order, and the address seemed like it was in a deserted place covered in dense fog that skulked like a menacing whisper. As he continued to ride, he started to feel uneasy, as though there was a warning in the air that he wasn't the only one who had a racing heart. At the designated corner, David turned and was confronted by a dilapidated, ancient structure. When he opened the creaking door, he saw that the room was empty, but the table set suggested that someone had been there. His breath caught in his throat when he noticed a figure in the corner. A pale woman wearing a white dress who appeared to be an echo from the past. And he suddenly felt watched, as if the room's shadows were suddenly springing to life. Evelyn was the one who whispered that she was grateful that he had brought her dinner, even though it was not what she had expected. David stared back at the table, confused, trying to make sense of what was happening. As though time had stopped there, he saw that the platters were piled high with uncooked food. Evelyn looked sorrowfully as she stated that the order she had gotten was a last hope, rather than a whim, and that she had been waiting for her last meal before leaving for another world. Every customer he had served that evening had been a reflection of a lost soul, and the delivery he was delivering provided consolation to troubled souls, in addition to feeding bodies. David's realization that he was now a member of a mission, rather than merely performing his duties, sent a shiver down his spine. A connection. As the night went on and the deliveries piled up, the cycle of the world of the living and the dead repeated itself. Each unfamiliar location brought him to a more unsettling encounter than the previous ones, where he was met with solemn smiles from men and women who were waiting for food that had never arrived while they were lost in their eternal solitude. With each delivery, the stories of their final hours were revealed one after another. He learned more about a young guy who died in an accident, an old woman who had longed for her husband to return from the war, and a child who yearned for his mother's embrace. Disturbed and torn between terror and compassion, as midnight drew nearer, David became aware that the distinction between life and death was becoming increasingly hazy, and the weight of his decisions began to weigh heavily on his conscience. What could he do for these souls? Was it really his duty to bring them something more than food? The agony drove him to the breaking point, and each time he attempted to leave the job, a new delivery notification called him back like a magnet, pulling him away from resolution. As a result, he found himself at a house built on the edge of a dark forest. As he got closer, he felt a shiver. The house seemed alive, as if the walls whispered the stories of those who had passed through. Upon opening the door, he saw a man with a solemn expression on his face. He ordered a cold meal that David could hardly recognize, and as he listened, he felt time stop, as though every word was a reverberation echoing in his soul. When the man finished speaking, he simply disappeared into thin air, leaving only the food on the table at that precise moment. David realized that he was bringing more than just food. He was bringing memories, longings, and farewells. As the hours went on, each delivery represented a closed chapter in lives that had not yet come to an end. David started to see a shift as each appreciative person who got his message appeared to achieve the serenity they so sorely needed. Ed's route became more illuminated as the darkness of despair started to fade. But he still had one last delivery to make, which took him back to the building where he had first seen it. Evelyn had changed when she entered the environment. The tables were deserted, and the faint light glowed on Evelyn's form, who now grinned with a friendliness she had never displayed before. David became aware that his mission was drawing to an end. The last delivery was an act of closure for him as much as for someone else. He thought back to the first time he saw Evelyn and realized she held the secret to everything. She had been caught in a never-ending cycle of waiting with a resolute heart, but she had never gone. David gave her a napkin with a message scrawled on it. Although you are no longer with us, your legacy will endure in the hearts of those who remember you. Evelyn's eyes welled up with tears, and the room was filled with an appreciative grin and a pleasant glow. As dawn came closer, Evelyn vanished, leaving the room with only a glimmer of light. David felt free as he left the building. In the midst of uncertainty and terror, he had discovered his calling. The hitherto incomprehensible deliveries now served as a reminder of how fleeting life is. He had evolved from a delivery man to a storyteller, and a link between the worlds of the living and the dead. David knew he had left a legacy of optimism, even in the shadows as he walked the city streets in the daytime. The next story. Ever pondered what may occur if you were transported to a dimension where reality and time are but illusions, and the trapped people's souls are frantically trying to find their way out? As you search for a way out, picture yourself connecting to an unidentified Wi-Fi network and discovering that you are in the middle of an unfathomable nightmare. This is the tale of Alex, a regular student who learned that curiosity can occasionally lead to opportunities that are best left unexplored. Alex was a restless young man who was keen to discover and investigate his surroundings. A feeling of change permeated the mild breeze on this fall afternoon. He had been experiencing this issue for weeks, and as he got comfortable in his room, he saw that his Wi-Fi connection was dropping out once more. He made the snap decision to search the area for available networks. He noticed something that drew his attention at that moment, a network called Neighbors Wi-Fi. Thinking it may give him the speed he sorely needed for his studies, he connected without hesitation. His computer sprang to life instantly. Alex was thrilled when pages loaded more rapidly than ever before, but his excitement soon gave way to doubt when he started seeing odd messages on his screen. The text began as straightforward requests for assistance. "Please save me." Intrigued and a little alarmed, Alex assumed it was a practical joke from friends. But as he read further, the contents took an unsettling turn. One message stated, "We're stuck here. You can help us, but we can't get away." Alex felt a shiver go down his back. Who were these individuals? Why were they requesting his assistance? He was torn between curiosity and dread, so he chose to answer, inquiring as to their identity and how they got into this predicament. The response appeared instantly, and the writing on the screen appeared to shake. "We're stuck in a different dimension. We are linked to you via the Wi-Fi. If you do nothing, we will be condemned indefinitely." Alex's life took a sudden change that day. In addition to discovering a new internet provider, he also became the link between his world and a far darker one. From that point on, whenever he connected to his neighbor's Wi-Fi, he started receiving messages that appeared to be from ISIS, the tales of those who liked him yet fell victim to this digital trap. An elderly man who had died in the dark after years of loneliness, a mother who had been split up from her kid, and a university student who had vanished for no apparent reason. Every story was filled with suffering and desperation, creating a thread that connected their fates to the bond Alex had unintentionally created with each communication. Alex felt more and more driven to assist these unidentified voices. He was having an internal conflict. While he wanted to unplug and forget everything, there was also something about their stories that held him in place. Anxiety and tension increased with every new communication while tethered to the screen. He thought, what if I don't help these lost souls? He was overcome with guilt and felt compelled to act even though he knew it would be risky. At that moment, a message altered everything. You have to liberate your thoughts before you can free us. Locate the gateway. The words reverberated in his head like a doorway, a disturbing chant. Alex started looking into it, but what he discovered about portals and different dimensions was only science fiction. But his chats kept the pain going. Through the bits and pieces of their stories that Soul gave, Alex got a picture of how these people had been caught between reality and fiction. In addition to connecting gadgets, it appeared that the Wi-Fi entangled destinies, forming a maze that was getting harder and harder to unravel. Alex had a startling realization one night as he examined the structure and content of the relationships he was bound to. He realized that each tale had a pattern. There had been people who disregarded warning signs in their lives. People who had let routine take them away from the things that really mattered, including his own relationship with his neighbors. Wi-Fi was more than just a signal. It was an expression of his own detachment from reality, as he was alone in his apartment and had been abandoned by friends. Alex was resolved to locate the portal and save the people who had contacted him, after realizing that he had also been imprisoned in his own Dimension 1, where the routine and academic responsibilities had caused him to lose sight of what life was really all about. Alex started playing around with the network. He looked into the router settings and discovered that by altering a few settings, he could communicate with the source of this strange network, as well as the souls of people who were trapped. In an obsession with discovering the neighbor's Wi-Fi secret, days and nights were spent in a flurry of testing and experimentation. He was nevertheless given encouragement by the souls. Some of them even offered their final words, which contained the secrets to unlocking the portal's mysteries. At last, Alex was able to create a reliable connection with the opposing side. He lighted a candle in his room's dark light, setting the mood for opening the portal. The urgency and intensity of the messaging increased. They told him that the time was coming. An image appeared on the screen, a black vortex whirling with a frightful vigor. Alex experienced a wave of exhilaration and terror as his heart raced. He was aware that by opening the portal, he would expose himself to the unknown and whatever might emerge from the other side, in addition to giving those who had been trapped the chance to be free. Alex took a deep breath and realized that there was no going back. He wrote one final message. I am here. I will help you. And as he pressed send, the screen glowed brightly. The portal opened with a sound that sounded like a distant scream, filling his room with cold air that made him shiver. In that moment, he was able to see the souls around him, their faces warped by anguish, but also with a glimmer of hope. They were waiting for him in unison. Their voices, multiplied in a penetrating echo, came to our aid at that time. Alex knew that his life would never be the same again, but he had to choose between closing the gateway and avoiding a reality that might devour him, or jumping into the abyss and saving those who were wailing for aid. With a mixture of courage and fear, he recognized that his fate was sealed as the light of the vortex surrounded him. He crossed the threshold of the portal. He never knew where it would take him, but in his heart he carried the assurance that he had done the right thing, though Alex lost his connection to the real world. The echoes of his decisions endure. The neighbor's Wi-Fi continues to exist, a reminder that in every hidden corner of our everyday lives there are dimensions waiting to be discovered, beings lamenting in search of liberation. So friends, if you ever see an unknown network, think twice before you connect. You never know what you might be trapping. Please remember to leave a like if this story has captivated you and kept you on edge. Subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments what you thought of this story. Remember, there may always be more that meets the eye. So stay alert, because next time it could be your connection that leads you to the unknown. Or